In addition to lump sum loans, we also have credit cards. Credit cards differ from installment loans in that you are not required to pay off your balance in any set period of time. A minimum monthly payment, however, monthly payment is required. Monthly payment generally covers all the interest, but very little principal. And it takes a long time to pay off a credit card if only the minimum payments are made. So you want to be careful with credit cards to not get in the trap of just making the minimum payment, because then you'll just keep paying the interest that's accumulating but rarely ever get at much of that principal. So that's going to prolong the amount of time it takes to pay it off. So let's take a look at an example involving these credit card payments. So example 4A, suppose that Bob has a credit card balance of $1,900. If his credit card has an APR of 20.99%, how much would Bob need to pay in order to pay off his balance in 15 months, assuming he will not be charging any more items on his card? So to find out our payments, let's go ahead and use our Excel function. So we have in Excel where payment, PMT, because that's what we're looking for here. We know how much we have borrowed effectively, what the balance is on the credit card. We know what the APR is, and we're trying to pay this off in 15 months. So we want to know the monthly payment to make this happen. So payment, and then our first argument will be the APR, 0.2099, divided by the number of payments per year, and that's going to be 12 payments per year. And then we have the total number of payments that are going to be made over the course of the loan. So what gets interesting here is we know we're going to try and pay this off in 15 months. So we're actually going to make 15 payments. We don't need to worry in this case about doing a multiplication by a number of years. We could if we wanted to. We could find what the number of years are for 15 months and just divide 15 by 12, and that comes out to 1.25. But it's a little redundant to do the 12 times 1.25 because it's just going to equal 15. So we can put 15 in here as the number of monthly payments that we're going to make for the duration of the loan or our payoff. And then the last item we need to enter into the payment function is the amount that we borrowed, our principal. So that's the $1,900. Okay, and again, this is going in the location of the present value in the Excel function, not the future value. Future values are what we use when we were finding payments for meeting a goal for savings. In this case, we are looking for paying off a certain amount that we borrowed and have presently. So that's why we're putting the 1900 in the present value argument. And this is going to come out to approximately $145.11 per month. So if Bob wants to go ahead and get his credit card paid off in 15 months, he's going to need to make payments of $145.11 each month. Let's suppose Bob still has that $1,900 credit card balance and an APR of 20.99%, but instead of making the payments that he was needing to, he's going to go ahead and just make the minimum payments of $50 per month. How long would it take him to pay off his debt? So what we have set up here is an Excel page, and we're going to calculate the way that the debt is changing each month. So at the beginning of the first month, we're going to have $1,900 as a balance. Interest on that balance will be calculated by, and in Excel we'll need to put an equal sign first to show that we're doing a calculation, and that's going to be the $1,900, and that's going to be multiplied by the interest rate that has been prorated for the monthly amount. So that'll be 0.2099 divided by 12. Okay, and that's going to give us the amount of interest. So that's $33.23 in interest at that 20.99% prorated monthly. Now the amount of that Bob is going to have as a balance at the end of the month, that's going to be equal to the $1,900 that he started with plus, so he's going to add the amount of the interest to that. And then we're going to make our payment after that. So that's minus $50 for the payment. Enter. Okay, so that's how much he's going to have at the end of the month. And that's also going to transfer over to becoming what we have at the beginning of the month. So we're going to go down here, and in our next row, instead of entering any numbers, we're going to try and use cell references as much as possible. And that's going to put us in a position where we can just copy these formulas down our rows and see what happens to our account balance at the end of the months. So now we're going to have an account balance at the beginning equal to what we ended with in the previous month. So we'll take this quantity and enter. And then the amount of interest we're going to have, again, is going to be equal to, and that's going to be equal to the amount at the beginning of the month, so that $1,883.23. That's going to be multiplied by our interest rate, 0.2099, divided by the number of months that we are making, or sorry, the number of payments we're making each year. Close that, and so that'll be our amount of interest. In this case, we'll have $32.94. And then the amount that we'll have at the end of the month, that's going to be equal to, and again, we're going to make these references to the cells rather than particular numbers, what we had at the beginning of the month, plus how much interest we earned, minus the $50 that we're making in a payment. So by the end of the second month, we're going to be down to $1,866.18. So even though we made $100 worth of payments at this point, we haven't really made it down all that much. So we've only, $34 approximately has been paid off of our principal so far. So now we want to run this these formulas through without having to actually touch them. And so really we're wanting to take this whole row, and so we're going to copy this whole row, and we want to then copy down. So if you look at the cursor, it changes from a big fat plus sign into a thin narrow plus sign. And so we're going to take the narrow plus sign, click, and as we drag down, that's going to copy the formulas from that row all the way down the sheet. So let's see where we're at when we get to row 44. Now, because we started at row 2 for month 1, we know we're going to be 1 month off of what the row number tells us. So this is 43 months in, and we still have a balance of $838.18. Oh goodness, we're still not there yet. So let's keep going. And let's copy this and keep going down and see where we're at. Okay, goodness gracious. Okay, so we finally hit some red, and let's scroll back up until the red is gone. So when we are at 64 for our row number, which means that this is 63 months in, we are finally reaching a point where we have at the end of the month only 66 cents left to pay off. And so really it'll take that one more month, so 64 months in total for us to reach the point where we've paid off the $1,900 credit card debt if we're only making that minimum $50 payment per month. So let's take a quick look at how many years is that. So we're looking at 64 months, so equals 64 divided by 12 months per year. We're looking at just over 5 years, so 5 1/3 years to try and get that $1,900 paid off if we're only going to make the minimum $50 payments. And if we recall the previous question, we were looking at how much we would need to pay each month in order to have that paid off in just 15 months, and that was $145.11 each month. So by dropping down to only $50 a month, we are, instead of paying this off in 15 months, going to take just over 5 years to get it done. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at one more example with credit card debt. Example 5, assume Visa has sent you a bill in which they charge 17.8% for their APR and you have an outstanding credit card balance of $1,456.38. If you want to have this paid off in 1 year and will not be making any new charges, what will your monthly payment have to be? So let's go ahead and do this in Excel. So in Excel, we would need to be finding a payment. So that's the function we'll be using, PMT. And the payment function takes as arguments, the first one will be the interest rate, the APR, 0.178. There's a 178, and that's in decimal form, divided by the number of payments we'll be making per year. So that's 12. The next argument will be the total number of payments you'll make in paying this off. So that'll be 12 payments per year, and we're only going for 1 year. And then the third and last argument we need to include is what the present value is. So how much your credit card balance is currently. And that's $1,456.38. Now there's one last slot in the arguments for PMT, remember, and that's future value. But that we use when we're doing our savings payments as opposed to our loan payments. So plugging that into Excel, we get a payment amount of $133.38 as a payment. So that's our monthly payment. Next, we're being asked, how much will you have paid over the course of the year to pay off the card balance of $1,456.38? So we are going to pay $133.38 each month for 12 months, and that's just over 1 year. So we don't have to worry about any more multiplication, and that's going to equal $1,600.56 altogether. So that's how much we've paid over the course of the year to pay off this credit card balance. And then how much of what you paid is interest? That's going to be the difference between the total amount you paid and how much your balance is that you paid off. So $1,656 minus the $1,456.38, and that's going to leave us with the amount of interest we paid as $144.18. So we have paid $144.18 in interest in that 1 year. So just over $10 a month in interest. In this day and age, most people have a credit card, and it's pretty much a requirement for functioning in today's society, either to put down payments in order to rent cars and hold different apartments and things like that. So credit cards are an important part of our life, and it is good to build up credit by having them. However, we want to be careful with how we use them. So here are some general tips for credit card use. First of all, use only one credit card. People who accumulate balances on several cards often lose track of their overall debt. Another tip is, if possible, pay off your balance in full each month. Make sure the card offers an interest-free grace period of at least 25 to 30 days. So this is really important so that you aren't getting that added interest every month. And even if you have even the slightest bit of balance, it'll often start your interest calculation on everything else that you charge for the upcoming month. Next, compare interest rates and annual fees of your credit cards. If you're going to carry any balances, look for a card with a relatively low interest rate. And next, watch out for teaser rates that try and entice you to get a new credit card by offering a low starting interest rate. Often what happens after that is it's going to balloon up to a much higher interest rate. So always keep that in mind. Read the fine print. Never use your credit card for a cash advance except in an emergency. The cash advance interest rates are so much higher than the standard interest rate, often upwards of 30–35%. So only in desperate emergency cases should you go and get that cash advance. Next, if you own a home, consider repaying a common credit card with a home equity line of credit, since this usually has a lower interest rate and the interest may be tax deductible. So this is something we'll look into a little bit more with mortgages and with taxes, and seeing how that can work together to get you in a better financial position and away from the credit card debt. And if you find yourself in a deepening financial hole, consult a financial advisor right away. A good place to start is with the National Foundation for Credit Counseling. The longer you wait, the worse off you'll be in the long run.